Hey guys, and welcome to The Therapy Couch, aka TCP, the podcast where real life meets real emotions. Join me here each week where I'll be discussing topics to help you remember who the fuck you are and how to live your best life by being authentically you. We'll dive into the realm of the human experience, exploring the things that matter most. Feelings, trauma, self-discovery, relationships, and all the other complexities that come with surviving the journey of life. I'm your host, Josie Dickerson, and I'm here to create a safe and supportive space where listeners can connect, reflect, and grow. Let's get into it. Hello, and welcome back to the Therapy Couch. It's me, your host, Josie Dickerson, and this week I have a short but sweet episode for you guys where I talk about the struggles of the healing journey, if you will. You've heard me say on pretty much every previous episode that deciding to heal and fix your trauma and deal with the hand that you've been dealt is not an easy task. It's not for the faint of heart, and sometimes you just want to scream and throw in the towel and say, is this actually worth it? And I'm here to tell you it is actually worth it, but I want to talk about specifically letting go of the idea that healing is also some sort of destination. I talk about happiness and how that's not a destination, it's a choice in your everyday life, and healing is the same way. And so it's even when I was starting out, and even sometimes now, I get this image in my head that I need to be this super zen, peaceful all the time, and I'm just unaffected by anything that happens in life, and that's so not the case. As much as I want it to be, as much as I want to embody that, that's just not who I am at my core. And sometimes I find myself beating myself up and being oh, why can't I just be more zen? Or why do I have to be so reactive? Or, why am I so hot-headed? Or, it's that critic in your mind that is basically saying your healing journey isn't good enough, or this physical manifestation of this healed version of you isn't good enough. And that's bullshit, right? So I just wanted to take a moment and really say that just because you're not the zen, you're sitting in your little meditative pose and you're unaffected by anything, that's not everybody, and I mean, maybe eventually we get there, maybe it eventually is a destination, but if you're like me, maybe you're younger than me, but either way, if you've spent 20, 30, 40, 50 years being the same, having the same reactions or pushing down your trauma, and all of a sudden you're okay, hey, I really need to heal this. I'm so sick of myself. Basically, I'm so sick of reacting the same way. I'm so sick of the reality that I currently live in. I have to do something. It is 1010% okay that you, I don't want to say fall off the wagon, but it's okay if you backslide a little bit. And I think we put so much pressure on ourselves, me especially, this, I'm speaking wholeheartedly for myself when I say I want to be that zen person so much, but I'm not necessarily, I have moments like that, but it's also very much okay for me to feel feelings. That's the whole reason that we're on earth, right? Is to have a human experience, and part of that human experience is feeling those feelings. So it's okay if your boss pisses you off. It's okay if your kids frustrate you. It's okay if you're upset with your friend because they treated you in a certain way, and whatever the case may be, it's okay to feel feelings. And I'm not just reiterating this for you guys, but like also for myself, because when I was younger, I was taught that, you know, I was too emotional. I was so dramatic. I was like overreactive. Like it was like everything that I felt was too much. So I learned to like push that down, and I still sometimes struggle with the, okay, I'm allowed to feel my feelings. I mean, obviously, like, to me, which I'm not an expert on this, right? But like, to me, like, there's a time and a place. Like sometimes like an initial raw reaction is like necessary, but then there's other times where I feel like it's better to, I don't want to say push it down, but like put it in a box, put it on pause and set it to the side, and then kind of take it apart and analyze like the feelings, or just feel the feelings, or like give yourself the space, right? Like it's not always ideal to, you know, let a bunch of tears out. Like sometimes it's just not, like, you're not in a place where it's like, one, you even feel like comfortable. Like sometimes I don't like crying in front of people, depending on like why I'm upset, but like, and a lot of times like when you're crying and you're upset, you don't necessarily want to talk about it. So like if I'm in a public place and I'm like sobbing, I don't want people to come up to me and be like, oh hey, like, are you okay? Like, I'm good, I'm just having a moment, you know, like so this is like your friendly little reminder that it's, no matter how far you get on your healing journey, and even if you become that Zen person is like still feeling things. It's more about developing the tools of like, okay, why am I so, I think once you start I'm trying to think of the word. Once you start, you know, I just want to say like unpacking your traumas and understanding like where the root cause of a lot of things come from, I think your triggers and those very reactive moments become less and less. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're like master guru, like just like, oh, I don't ever feel anything, dude. Like, I'm good, bro. Like, what is the purpose, dude? The purpose is just for us to live and laugh and love, and you know what I mean? So I think that eventually you become less reactive, but that doesn't change who you are as your core. Like if you've never if you're not like somebody who's into meditation or things like that, where, I mean, I don't know, what is your ideal like healed self look like? Maybe that's a question that we need to like dive into too, is, you know, what does your heal, like for me, like I said, like I want to be that extremely Zen person that's like, okay man, like I don't need to have a reaction to this, because I fully understand, and I'm like, that a lot of the things that you're saying have a lot more to do with you than they do with me, and I don't, like, this doesn't need my reaction. So like, I'm again not a perfect person. I think that, you know, healing and unpacking trauma and dealing with like everything that life has dealt you and that will continue to deal you is a lifelong process, but you do eventually get to a point where it's like, yeah, that doesn't really need my reaction. Some things will forever and always, and some things won't. But if you go check out my TikTok, the reason that I like really wanted to talk about this was I try to keep myself together, right? Like I said, I see this like very Zen person, and I want to be calm and peaceful and not, I don't want to say not reactive. Like if something warrants a reaction, then I'm sure I'm going to react. But like, I don't want to be overreactive or over dramatic, which again, in my childhood, you know, everybody was like, Josie, you're so dramatic. Like, bitch, I know. But, and I kind of like it. I don't know. It's fun for me. But I made a TikTok and I was basically just frustrated. And you know those moments where it's like you kind of have to keep your composure and you can't lose your fucking mind. I just like, and then a lot of times, me personally, I do just try to keep everything together. Like, what is the analogy that I heard the other day? I'm like a like a duck in water, right? So like on the surface, like everything's like cool, calm, collected, but underneath my little feet are kicking 1,000 miles a minute. Like that's what I feel like. And so a lot of times I just try to keep that image, I guess. I don't know if it makes me think that, if I'm making everybody else happy, but also too, like I think I try to do that because I'm trying to feel like, make myself feel like I have everything under control. And so I don't ever it's very rare that I let myself just fucking scream in my car. So in my TikTok, I'm basically like, do you ever have one of those days where you just want to listen to screamo music and fucking rage out in your car, and you have a reason to scream, right? I feel so awkward. Sometimes I've seen in self-help things where it's oh yeah, just scream if you need to scream. That's so weird to me. What am I just supposed to scream in the middle of my house and scare the shit out of my kid and my dogs, or just scream in my car for no reason? I don't know. For me, it's I almost need something to aid in the yelling process. So I just had a bad day yesterday, and I was I just want to fucking scream. If I don't get this out, if I don't get this out, I'm going to push it down, and then it's going to come out at the most impromptu, worst time ever, and I don't need that to happen. So what did I do? I get in my car, I turn on my fucking angry music, and I'm just scream singing, basically. But then also in the video, I was do you ever just want to scream? Because sometimes life is just frustrating. I think the even more frustrating part is trying to seem like we have it all the fucking together. Who the hell are we impressing? Who are we trying to impress so much that it's we have to keep it together all the fucking time? No, I'm a human being, just like you're a human being. Some days I need to fucking scream. Some days I need to rage out. I don't want to feel like I have to have it together all the time. That shit is so annoying. And it's just it's just on social media, right? You see the perfect lifestyle, and let me go buy all these Amazon gadgets, and buy this makeup and buy this skincare, and is that really your life? And then all of a sudden, right? So for years we saw, oh yeah, I'm living this perfect fucking life and I have everything and blah 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 blah, to now content creators being oh yeah, just by the way, this is what, on camera, this is what you see up front, and then behind the scenes, your house is, you're a normal fucking person. Can we just start, I don't want to say idolizing, because I don't like that, but can we just start being normal fucking people again? I legitimately miss the 90s. I mean, obviously there was always the keeping up with the Joneses and trying to outshine, the neighbor up the street or whatever. That's fucking human nature, right? That's never going away. But can we please stop idolizing one type of lifestyle? Because it's getting really old. It's getting really fucking boring. I've said it in previous episodes. Everyone's just trying to be a clone of each other, and that shit is so boring. I'm tired of it. So I'm I'm out, bro. I'm a normal person, right? My house is a mess half the time. I have 2 dogs, a cat, and a kid. Keeping up with that, I'm one person. You know what I mean? And I need some me time too. So that's my normal life. Guess what? I don't always have my shit together. I'm a normal person. Some days I need to rage out in my fucking car. And you know what? It's okay for you to be a normal person too. It's okay for you to be a normal person too. I want to start idolizing normality. I almost forgot how to say that word. But for real, and not even idolizing it, but just being it's okay. You know what I mean? We all have different lifestyles, and it doesn't mean that you're any less than because you're not living what you fucking see on social media. Now, if you want to create a life like that, okay, create aspects, but don't beat yourself up because you don't have an Instagram life. You know what? Those fucking Instagram influencers that are constantly pushing shit on you, they're probably fucking miserable. And they're trying to hold it all together. It's okay to be a normal person, essentially, is the message of this of this episode is life is life, right? And like I said, we're literally here to feel things and experience situations in order to feel and learn. And I think we put way too much pressure on ourselves to be this perfect person, whatever your idea of a perfect person is, because that literally doesn't exist. But it's like, the healing journey is not about creating some new person, like some new version of yourself. It's almost like unlearning all the bullshit that you were taught for so many years, that you've held on to for so many years, that you believed for so many years. It's like undoing all of that so you can remember who the fuck you are. It's like deprogramming yourself to be like, oh, like, this is the societal norm. Fuck societal norms. Who cares, bro? Like, who even came up with that shit anyways? Probably some unhappy motherfuckers, right? So, if you're like struggling in your healing journey and you're like, damn, like, when am I gonna get to this version of myself? Or like, when am I gonna have X, Y, Z? I don't want you to think of it of like this destination, because it's not, it's just not. There's like no, you're gonna get in your car and drive here and then, oh, here you are. Like, where do you go after that? You know, if it's a destination, where do you go after that? You just live like a boring life where nothing ever happens, or like there's no growth or no lessons that you're learning, or, you know what I mean? Like, we don't really want that, do we? Right? Like, life is kind of fun when there's like some shit going on. But yeah, so if you find yourself like on this healing journey, like falling off the path, or like, you know, kind of backsliding in a sense, that's okay. It's okay, but it's more important that you recognize when you are like slipping and being like, okay, hey, you're having a little moment here. We've had our little moment where we weren't, you know, on the right track. We're falling backwards a little bit, and just readjusting. Like, pivot, bro. Like, pivot. For any of my fucking friends, fans, a pivot. Yeah, that's all you have to do, is just pivot in life and make a little adjustments, and then you're back on track. You know what I mean? But instead, what I feel like a lot of people do is they're like, oh, well, like, I fell off the fucking wagon. Like, you know, I haven't been doing what I needed to do, so let me sit here for 6 months and beat myself up for not, you know, having 2 bad days or a bad week, or, you know, whatever the case may be. And I mean, I'm guilty of it too. Like, so I'm not sitting here judging you. Like, I've definitely been that person that's like, oh, well, fuck that up. That, you know, I missed the gym for a day. Looks like it's gonna be another 6 months before I go back, because I gotta beat myself up for it. Like, when literally I can just pick up and go to the fucking gym the next day. It's fine. It's totally fine. But like I said, the healing journey, the healing process isn't necessarily a destination, and it's not about building a new, better version of you. Like I said, it's about deprogramming all the shit that you were told and taught and shown your entire life, and figuring out, like, really, who the fuck are you? And that's why, if you're new here, I'm assuming at this point you're maybe not, or if you, I don't know, when I start a new podcast, I start at episode 1, so that way I can get a feel of like what's going on. But like, if this is your first episode, go back to the Awakening Authenticity mini-series, like figuring out who the fuck you are, or like who you actually want to be. And it's, again, it's not the materialistic things that you want, like to a certain extent, yeah, sure, but that's not the most important thing that we're after here. Is like, oh, I want more money. Why do you want more money? Like, you want to feel secure, like you want to feel safe, or like money does not equate happiness. Like, that's not really how it works. It's more about the feeling of how you want to feel when you get the physical thing, when you get the materialistic thing of like, oh, I want new clothes, or I want to be able to, you know, have a closet full of clothes so I can not wear the same thing over and over again, or I want my Manolo Blahniks, like whatever it is. Like, that's really what we're creating, is like the feeling of how we want to feel. But like, yeah, so think about that. Think about how you want to feel, like the new quote unquote version of you. Like for me, I just want to feel accepted. Like if I'm loud or if I'm moody or, you know, being over dramatic, like I just want the people in my life to just love me. And sure, they can be like, Josie, you're being a little over dramatic. If I'm like legitimately being over dramatic, but like, I think one of the biggest things that we all want is that we just want to be accepted for who we are. Whatever the fuck that may mean. Like if you're some like punk rocker and on the inside, but you're super preppy on the outside because that's like the environment that you grew up in, and all of a sudden you're like, well, I can't act like that because all my friends would be like, oh my god, what the fuck? Or if you, I don't know, like, okay, I'll give an example of like how I see my life, but how my visions like contradict, right? So I've said it before, like I kind of grew up in the hood. Like I didn't have a lot of money growing up. Like we always lived in very poor areas of wherever like we lived. And so like that was my environment. And for a long time I was like very obsessed with that lifestyle. And then I grew up, like I was very like into fashion and things like that when I was younger, and I would see things in magazines, and then, you know, we got the internet, and like, so I would like see things growing up and I'm like, damn, like I want that. But then in the back of my head I'm like, if I start wanting those things and I start building a life where I can have these things, you know, what's my family gonna say? Like, and I love my brother to death, but he's always like, Josie, you're so fucking bougie. Yes, bitch, I am bougie. I like the finer things in life, okay? Like, I don't know what to tell you, but sometimes I struggle and I'm like, damn, like, I don't know if it's a worthiness thing or what it is, but there's definitely, I'm going to look into that and get back to you on like why I feel like I'm not allowed to have that. I'm definitely getting back to you on that because that's a good question. But there is some kind of like disconnect of like, okay, well, this is how I grew up, but this is where I want to be. It's almost like I get imposter syndrome, like because I grew up here, I can't live this life. And I know logically in my brain that's bullshit. Like anybody can have anything that they want. They can be anybody that they want to be. It's just those, again, that programming or like the society that we live in, it's like that external judgment of like, oh, you can't have that, or what makes you think that, or oh, you want that so you think you're better than everybody. Like, no, bitch, I just like nice stuff. Like, I don't know. So yes, so I completely lost where I was at on that, but I will get back to you on like where that disconnect is of like if it's like a self-worth thing or like a external judgment thing on why I see what I want, but I don't feel like I can have what I want. And that goes for any of us. Like, where is that? That might be the topic of next week's episode. So, with all that being said, I'm going to wrap it up because I'm now rambling, which, you know, I love to do. But essentially, it's okay to feel your feelings. If you need to go rage out and scream in your fucking car somewhere, go do it. Who the hell cares? Just let that shit out. Feel all your feels. The healing journey is not a destination. There's not like just healed, you know? There's not a healed version of you just like waiting to be just healed and then, you know, you stop experience life. I mean, maybe that's what death is. I don't know. That's an interesting thought. Lots of things to explore on this after this week's episode. But it's not about getting to the destination. It's about really, you know, like figuring yourself out. Let's normalize fucking normal life. I'd like that. That'd be great. And creating a quote unquote new version of yourself is not necessarily about building a whole new person. It's about deprogramming or unprogramming the programming, the things that you've been taught and the things that you've been shown throughout life, and really getting to the root of who you are and what you like and who the hell you want to be, you know? Who you're comfortable being. And I think a lot of our issues is that we feel so uncomfortable by being ourselves that it leads us to like other emotions, you know what I mean? Anger, frustration, whatever, with other areas, because we're so busy trying to be other people that we get frustrated, and like our soul is like builds that frustration of like, what the fuck, dude? Like, I'm just trying to be me and you're out here trying to be everybody else. So I will leave you with that. I hope you guys have a great week, and we will catch up on the next episode. Okay, love ya. Bye.